this organization established? Do some basic research on when it was founded, who founded it, why it was founded, okay? Your letter style, you should be very careful about your style of letter, writing your letter. Some people, once they start from the first paragraph, they jump right to the third paragraph with a different idea, okay? You have to be very, very careful of the style of your letter. And so is the mechanics. Mechanics is really how you actually do things, the scientific word for the mechanical operation of a car, how you actually do things, okay? All right, your letter plan. You must have an opening session, all right? The opening session should flow onto the middle session, and the middle session should flow towards the end of the session, okay? Now, the opening session, you should have like an introduction to arouse the reader's attention, right? Arouses the reader's interest and makes him want to read a resume, right? Then you must have a middle section. The middle section touches upon your key qualifications and skills. Generally, you don't mention in the first section, look, I have a degree in botanical science, for instance, right? Right in the first section, no. So the middle section is allocated only for your qualifications and skills, okay? And then you must have a closing session. So generally, you must have 3 sessions, right? An opening session, a middle section, and a closing session. All right, very briefly, the opening session, you must name the person for whom you learned about the job opening. For example, Mr. Ashok Ahuja, a HR manager, informed me about an opening of an editor in a publishing department. Because my diploma in journalism and 3 years' experience on the news desk of a national newspaper qualify me for such a position. Please consider me for the post. All right? You are naming the person where you got the information from, and then you are also highlighting to the person who will read this letter the qualifications that you have which makes you the best person for this particular job. Or your advertisement in the Hindu newspaper dated October 31st for an ambitious, hardworking sales representative lists requirements similar to my qualifications. A degree in marketing and 4 years of sales experience make me confident of my ability to be the employee you would like to have in your organization. Provide information about how your qualifications fit the job requirement. Right? Several years of retail work experience in a women's garments boutique, a degree in international marketing, and an ability to put in long hours of work would enable me to perform well as the business head of the export division you are seeking. All right? Or an ability to communicate well, both orally and in writing, a degree in business administration with a postgraduate degree, and a 6-month live project with software engineering company are the qualifications I have that closely match the requirements of the systems analyst position open in your organization or open in your company. All right? Mention one of the company's significant accomplishments to catch the reader's eye. Probably if it's a research organization, you could probably mention something like this. The recent article about Ispet Steel, which appeared in Business Standard, convinces me that the foresight of your managers will allow the company's expansion plans to succeed. Please consider me for the area manager's post, advertised in the September 23rd issue of the Economic Times. Yeah? From here, you are actually mentioning some accomplishments that the organization would like to have. So in other words, you actually research. Yeah? you are going right in front of what this person is actually expecting from you. Eh? Make sure to include the title of the position in which you're applying in the first paragraph. In solicited letters of application, mention how you found out about the vacancy. In unsolicited application letter, openings with a list of applications of qualifications may be essential, as you need to convince the reader that the company would benefit by hiring you, even though there is no specific opening. Yeah? Example, if you have an opening for a systems analyst who has done a 6-month live project for a software engineering company, has a degree in business administration and a postgraduate diploma, please consider me for the post. You must understand the job requirements when you read the vacancy. Yeah? Just get a pen and a paper and just try and highlight what are some of the job requirements there for the vacancy. Yeah? Your understanding of the job requirements, don't just state the job requirements. Convince the reader that you have studied the position sufficiently to know that your qualification match the requirements in the vacancy. Yeah? Example, a background in statistics qualifies me as a research coordinator you are seeking, who is required to have an analytical background and to be familiar with statistical applications. Maybe they're looking for somebody who has a statistical background. Eh? Instead of, I understand you're looking for a hardworking, ambitious employee. Sorry, I just go back there. Okay, now, there are 2 examples that we have put there, the ones that I've just gone over with you. Eh? You could use the first one, a background statistics, instead of the one at the bottom here. Okay, students? Okay, what are your educational achievements that qualify you for the right job or for the right vacancy from this organization? Eh? This is very, very important because most of you have already done your degree and have graduated, and you would have done your postgraduate diploma and things like that. And you are actually highlighting highlighting your application on the vacancy that you have the postgraduate diploma that the employer is seeking, okay? Your educational achievements that qualify you for the job. Present your education and work achievements in such a manner that their significance is apparent, okay? You show it. Eh? Don't clutter letter by enumerating every course you have taken, right? I've seen a lot of application letters that students have sent to me that actually highlights the 20 degree courses they've done at the university. Yeah? You must look at the vacancy, and probably might just like to highlight probably 2 or 3 courses that relate to that particular vacancy. Yeah? I have seen some letters that students have sent to me just to go over and to assist them with, that have put in the whole 20 courses they've done at the university. Right? Make sure you only highlight probably 1 or 2 or even 3 courses that are relevant to that particular vacancy. Yeah? Okay. Don't repeat the facts presented in the resume. Just interpret them for the reader. Okay? Some people, they like to bring in their resume beside the application letter while they're writing, and they're highlighting everything in your resume onto the letter. Okay? You just choose the relevant ones. Eh? When we go to resume later on in the day, probably today or even tomorrow, I will talk to you about the importance of actually relating, or actually looking over your resume like every 2 or 3 months after you finish if you've done a unit or you've improved on your capabilities or your attributes, all right? You take out the ones that would be not relevant to your vacancy, because the resume has to present it all the time. Like if you are applying for a job, all right? So it's time for you to review your resume, all right? Always try to review your resume when you're applying for a new job. I have seen a lot of students, they use the resume that they've used this year for every other job that they've applied for throughout the year. All right? You shouldn't do that because some of the things are not relevant to that particular job. So you have to change everything in your resume every now and then to be able to make it more applicable, more relevant to the vacancy that you are applying for. So a resume is a changing document, right? You really have to upgrade and update it all the time, right? So that it is relevant to the particular employment or particular vacancy that you are applying for on that particular instant. All right? And then you go into your work experiences, which are very, very important. These are work experiences that qualify you for the position. Show how your experience will be useful in the job that you are applying or has helped to develop your skills and make you responsible. Hardworking employee and provided you with an opportunity to work with others. It's very important. Any specific qualifications, right? You can also add, right, on your application letter. But remember, an application letter should not go on for 2 to 3 pages. At least about 1.5 will do. If I'm a manager of an organization, I cannot spend my time. You know, if I'm a business organization making money, and then to be spending about 2 or 3 hours on one application, my company will really lose out on my business. Okay, it should be short and crispy. Crisp, concise. Okay. So please also include any special qualifications that you may give you an edge over other people. Remember, you are competing with a whole lot of people. You don't know. Okay. There may be 5 or there may be 6 people who are actually competing for that same position. Personal information such as your marks, your grade, average, the college activities in which you've participated, your honors, right? If you've been awarded some honors, if you've given out, if you've written out a good assignment and you've been awarded honors and awards, please put that down to an application letter. Towards the end, also refer to your resume that you are attaching, which is an important document, okay? It will tell the employer that this is your resume that you are attaching with the application letter. There's an example. My work experience outlined on the enclosed resume has taught me valuable lessons about working with others. Right, the closing session, offer to provide additional information that the reader may require. The dates on which you might be available for an interview is very important, okay? When you're closing up your letter, you might like to put down the, when you are available for an interview, if you are selected, okay? After you've read my resume, please call or write to let me know a time that is convenient for you to discuss the position that you are applying for. Should you need additional information, please let me know. Or additional information about my qualifications for this position can be discussed during the interview. Although this letter and attached resume do outline several, you can reach me at so-and-so number, right? To let me know a time that is convenient to you to talk with me about the position that you are applying for, obviously. Right, these are just some of the questions, exercises that we probably might do later. Okay. These are some of the advertisements. Okay, thank you very much, students. That was just a presentation on how to write an application letter. If you need to write your application letter and you are not sure, please come and visit the Career Center and Services office. We can assist you write your application letter for you, look up your and then draft an application letter for you and assist you in that regard. All right? Okay, now we have our representatives from the Fiji Higher Education Commission, Mr. Lisuma and Mr. Epirawalai. We'll just ask them just to make their way down here, please. Yes, it is. All right, sure, don't worry. Everything is all set. Students, we have Mr. Epeli Lesuma from the Higher Education Commission, and they're here to do their presentation on career planning sessions for this week, which is called the USP Career Internship Week for us. We'd like to just to request that you give them a round of applause, please.
All right, before I begin, can I ask everyone to please stand up? All right. Turn to the person next to you, shake their hand. If there's, turn to the other side, shake a ghost's hand. Turn to the person behind you, shake their hand. All right. Thank you, everyone. So you can take your seats now. I'm really glad to see all of you here this afternoon. You've taken a great opportunity to learn. USP provides a great service in terms of giving its students the opportunity to access information before graduating, before finishing, and before entering the workforce. You've already heard a little bit about how to write your CVs and your application letters. So I'll touch a little bit on that, but what I wanted to focus on was maybe just giving you some real-life experiences when, as an organization, we receive your application letters or CVs. And it's quite appropriate that we should come and present this afternoon, because only yesterday afternoon, my colleague and I were shortlisting 143 applicants, down to five people who we're going to be interviewing for a HR position. So having to go through each application to ensure that they've met certain minimum requirements, that their applications are catchy, poppy, that you remember them, that they stand out. In and amongst 143, it's a real skill to develop. So by taking the opportunity to be here this afternoon, you're probably giving yourself a slight edge over thousands of other graduates or job seekers out there. My name is Epeli Lesuma. I work with the Fiji Higher Education Commission as their stakeholder engagement officer. I'm originally from Somasoma Taveuni, and I, like you, began my journey here at USP. I graduated in 2014. I graduated in March of 2015, I graduated on a Friday, sorry. On Monday, I got an interview. Wednesday, I started at FHEC. And here I am 4 years later. I was fortunate as well to also be a registered NEC, registered with the National Employment Center. So that's something I would encourage you all to do as well, because they help connect you to employers who are looking for fresh graduates like yourselves from university. My colleague, Epi Rawalai, who is the man with the camera, is our communications officer. Feel free to have a chat to him as well after the session. Because it's Thursday, and I think I'm the last presenter for today, I've kept my presentation only to 7 slides, lots of pictures, and a few other stuff too. So just by a show of hands, how many of you here have heard about the Fiji Higher Education Commission? 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. Okay, that's good. This is our opportunity to share some information with you as well about what we do and why we're an important stakeholder in the higher education sector in Fiji. So before I begin, and I hope the sound is working, you might see this on TV, and from yesterday you should be able to see it in Damodar cinemas if you pop down to the movies as well.
Hey, are you preparing to enter higher education? Hashtag tertiary education? What qualifications are you after? Certificate in agriculture, diploma in tourism, engineering, or construction degree? Choose wisely. Study with confidence in an institution that is registered under the Fiji Higher Education Commission and offers quality assured qualifications. For more information, contact us at 22 Gorrie Street, Suva, or call 310031 or visit www.fhec.org.fj. The Fiji Higher Education Commission, your guardian in higher education.
Right. So that's a 30-second snippet about a lot of the work we do in trying to manage Fiji's higher education sector. We were established in about 2008 under the Higher Education Act and came into existence as an organization in 2010. The Fiji Higher Education Commission, our catchphrase, our slogan is your guardian in higher education. And the reason we are your guardian in higher education, because one of the key roles that we play is to quality assure programs and qualifications in Fiji. Often, prior to our establishment, you'd get cases of fly-by-night computer schools that would open up. You'd have those schools charging those students a premium for qualifications that turned out to not really be recognized when they entered the job market. One of our key mandates is to ensure that institutions in Fiji, and they range from as far as Montfort Boys Town in Vaisari, right up to the universities like USP, FNU, and UniFiji, to ensure that they deliver you guys, our most important stakeholders, quality programs that are recognized, programs that are accredited, not only by us, but also internationally. One of our other mandates is around monitoring higher education institutions and compliance to what we call the Higher Education Act 2008. It's a thick document. When I started at FHEC on my first day, I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have any other reading material but to go through the Higher Education Act. And a lot of it outlines what we do as an organization and how we are to ensure that institutions do not cheat students, to ensure that we facilitate linkages between institutions and industry, people who end up employing yourselves. We also disperse the government grant. So every year when they announce the budget in Parliament, a certain chunk of the education money is allocated to higher education. And we, as the FHEC, allocate those funds to 10 institutions, of which USP is one of them. We also manage higher education data. So data on things like completion rates, how many of you as students will complete your studies, retention rates, how many of you are continuing on with your studies and moving from year 1 to year 2 to year 3. And the reason why that's important for us is because it allows us to advise government if there's areas of concern. So if there aren't enough students progressing from year 1 to year 2. Why is that? And how then do we support institutions to, how then do we push institutions gently to support US students to complete studies and see through your whole academic journey into employment? One of the ways in which the institutions try to do that is by providing career advice services to ensure that you're picking the right programs while at university and that you have your clear pathway into employment. Just by way of, just as a side question, is anyone here a politics student? Raise your hand. Wow, okay. Well, I was a politics student, and when I was in, started my journey at USP, I didn't exactly see myself entering education. As a politics management student, my career pathway was always geared towards maybe entering foreign affairs. But I'd like to put in a plug for the politics program at USP and say that it's a great program because it offers you a diverse range of skills that enables someone like me to come into higher education and into the position that I'm in today. Oops. Right, and our other key role is around enhancing the capacity and capability of higher education institutions, so supporting them to be able to deliver quality programs to you, supporting them to be able to ensure that students are chugging along on their academic journey. The key thing about the way the Fiji Higher Education Commission operates is that we're a partnership. And so just as we partner with higher education institutions like USP to deliver quality programs to you, we also want to partner with you as students by providing us with feedback as and when you have issues so that we're able to help institutions improve. So then, that's my bit about FHEC, and now into the real reason we're here this afternoon. CV writing and application letters. So we came in at a good time because you already had a brief run-through of what an application letter should look like. This morning, when I was putting together this presentation, I sent an email to our HR person, and I said, give me 5 points, 5 pieces of information that every fresh graduate should know when they're compiling their CV and application letter. And I'll come and share it all with you, and you can maybe nod along if it's some of the information that you've heard throughout your the last few days. So the first point that she made was that your CV and application letter shouldn't be too long. Like I said, we received 143 or so CVs that you have to go through. And you need to we need to go through them to ensure that we're getting a full picture of what this person who is applying is, what they feel and what they are like for whether they'd be a good fit for our organization. 3 to 4 pages for a CV, yeah, maybe a little too long. I've read articles online which say that the 21st century CV should only be 2 pages max. You're lucky that you have the Careers Advisory Services here at USP who will be able to not only make your CV short and snappy, but also allow you to market yourself as much as possible with whatever little experience you have. Key information is important. A couple of CVs that you'll sometimes see will flood information on different clubs, different certificates that they might have. You know, you need, when you're applying for a job, you need to pick out what information is important. What key information would I want the recruiter to know and understand about me that will make me fit for that position that I'm applying for? It's good that you have all this information, and that's maybe the sort of information you can share during an interview, but in a CV and in an application letter, the key information is important because otherwise you could end up having your CV or your application letter just lost in a sea of letters. Address the MQR, the minimum qualification requirements. What experience and knowledge do you bring as a fresh graduate from USP? When I graduated, so I should probably say, in my last year at USP, I started volunteering with the Fiji Red Cross Society. And so I also began doing some volunteer work with a couple of film festivals that they had running in 2014. That was the only experience I had. I had never worked in my life, apart from maybe helping my uncle plant ndala on his farm. So you have to think, what experience do you have? What knowledge do you have that might make you a good candidate for a job, an entry-level job that you're applying for? So what I did was I tried to market myself as someone who had volunteered with the Fiji Red Cross Society for over a year, had been involved in this number of activities, had demonstrated leadership in these areas. And so for you, you may not be a volunteer with an organization like the Fiji Red Cross Society, but you may be involved with your church group or your local community group, or maybe you're involved with your village community development projects. Talk about how you contributed, what value you added, and how you can take those experiences and apply them into the organization that you're applying for. And then the last point is you have to try and stand out. Be memorable, because in a sea of thousands of applications, it's very easy to get forgotten. So I hope, if there's one key piece of information that you'll be jotting down, because I can see some of you are writing very eagerly, write down that your application letter and your CV has to be memorable. Find something that's unique about yourself that you would bring to an organization that others, either seated in this room or in this university, would not have. And so like any clever, tech-savvy millennial, what I did last night was I posted a story on Instagram to ask people, say I was going to be delivering a presentation to all of you seated in this room, and to ask them what advice my Instagram followers, would give you as people that are going to be entering the workforce soon. And I picked out the response, which was probably the best because it tied into the advice that our HR lady gave me this morning. And this is what they said. Show that you're more than just good grades. Get involved in community work, join clubs that interest you. Again, trying to stand out and being memorable. If you aren't involved in a community club or community work or any clubs at the moment, don't panic because you still have time. The USP has clubs within itself. You have your student associations that are here. Try and see how you can contribute to that. There's things like open day that happen. Become a volunteer there, or try and sign up for student learning support to see how you can help maybe disabled learners here at USP guide their way through the university and studies, because those are the things that matter. When we as employers look at applications of fresh graduates in particular. So coming to interviews, I'm sure interviews would have been covered over the course of this week. Once you get shortlisted and confirmed for an interview, that's great because you've already probably beaten out hundreds of other applicants for the job that you're trying to get. The interview is the opportunity for you to share a little bit more about yourself that you couldn't put in your 2-page CV. It's also your opportunity to show things like what you value, things that you're passionate about, because sometimes a CV doesn't truly convey that message very clearly. So again, our HR people gave me these 5 points, and I hope that they'll be of value to you this afternoon. So the most important thing that I think you all need to know when you come for an interview is to be yourself. Don't try and pretend that you're something that you're not, because employers, especially experienced recruiters, are always able to pick out the fakes. If you've stated in your CV that you like reading, you better actually be a reader, because I've heard of experiences where someone has put in their CV, "I enjoy reading," and the recruiter asked, "What 5 books have you read recently?" And the person was stumped. Don't be that person. If you enjoy cooking, put that you enjoy cooking and explain what dishes you like to cook, who you like to cook for, what secret ingredient do you add to make that dish special. If you like socializing, that's a bit more tricky, because we all socialize every day, coming to work, coming to school. Maybe try and add a different spin to it. If you like socializing, link it to the community work that you do, or the church work that you do, or religious work that you do. If you like playing sports, well, if you've listed, I play sports, I enjoy sports in your CV, well, talk about your favorite teams. Talk about your favorite player, because again, those are the things that make you stand out and be memorable. It's important to be yourself, because the last thing that you want is to enter the workplace when you've finally been hired, only to let your employer down because the smoke and mirrors suddenly disappear. So be genuine, be honest, and also, more importantly, what that demonstrates is that you have integrity. So I'm going to give you guys a quick quiz, and I don't have any prizes, but I'll remember you should I see your face come for an interview. Can anyone here tell me what integrity means? Just give a guess. All right, I'm going to give you the easiest definition for integrity that you'll ever hear in your life. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one is looking. And for a lot of organizations, values like integrity, honesty, punctuality matter more than the person that's gotten straight A's. Grades are good, but values are important, because values also show that you are a good worker, an honest worker. HR also said to this, look for a good fit for yourself. Will I thrive here? And I suppose what they meant by this is, when you're applying for a job, think to yourself, is this a deadbeat job? What is the best that I can make of this? How will I learn? How will I add value? Do I know anyone here who can maybe mentor me? You wouldn't want to be, say, a circle trying to squeeze yourself into a square. So be very honest with yourself when applying for jobs to see whether you'll fit into the role that you're applying for. It's good to shoot for the stars, but it's also good to be a little bit practical as well. If you don't know the answer, be honest, but it's good to show that you can think on your feet. So oftentimes we'll get funny stories of interviews where someone gets asked a question and they try and answer the question, but it's so left field and so wrong. For any of you that watch Hibiscus on TV, I think you can all relate. If you don't know the answer, just be honest, but maybe provide another angle to the answer that will make you memorable. Because, like I said earlier, demonstrating honesty is important, but also you have to prepare yourself so you're able to jump and angle the question in such a way that, angle your answer in such a way that makes you look good when you're going to be interviewed. Do not over-prepare. It's good to read up about the organization that you're applying for, but don't flood yourself with too much information where you end up getting a brain fart during the interview. Because that's what leads to you trying to answer a question where you end up looking very funny. Sound genuine. That comes back to being honest. Don't sound too stiff, only because you begin to sound like a robot. I've sat through interviews where someone has obviously read through our entire website, and when you ask them the first question, they're just keen to just flood you with all this information that they've read off your website. And by the time you ask them the second question, there's just silence. So prepare, but don't over-prepare. Also leave some space for you to share stuff outside of maybe just the organization and stuff that you would have read on the website, and sound genuine. Right. I'm towards the end of my presentation now. I was very honest when I said I was going to keep it short and snappy, and I'm glad to see some of you writing down eagerly, some of you taking photos. If ever you have trouble with the institution that you are studying at, it may not necessarily be USP in the future. That's where we're located. Level 1 of the Red Cross building. So here's another funny fact. When I was employed by the Fiji Higher Education Commission, I also happened to be a volunteer at the Fiji Red Cross. So whenever I'm needed at the Red Cross, I just run upstairs and then I run back downstairs for work. But we're on 22 Gari Street. For those of you that don't know where that is, it's on the same road that Suva Motor Inn is on, and Quality House at the Ministry of Education. Feel free to drop by, because we're happy to support you, and even if you just want to come and talk to me because you're scared to ask me questions after this session, just come to reception and ask to see Epeli. Epeli Lesuma, because we have 2 Epelis at the office. But how many of you have smartphones on you right now? Put up your hands with your phones, please. Don't be shy because I saw you taking photos. Okay, how many of you have data on your phones? Keep your hands up, right up. All right. I'd like you to go onto Facebook, search for the Fiji Higher Education Facebook page and like us on Facebook as well. I have to do my bit for marketing for my organization as well. But like I said, you can visit our website, like us on Facebook, drop us a private message on our Facebook page. If you have a question or a concern about your institution or anything to do with higher education, because either Epi or I will respond to your question. And like I said, we're here as, you're our most important stakeholder as students, and we are your guardian in higher education. Thank you. You gonna clap? Thank you. Oh, did anyone have any questions? Surely it can't be that quiet. I managed to finish what was meant to be a 1-hour presentation in about a little over 15 minutes. Maybe any advice for our up-and-coming graduates?
Thank you, everyone. I'm Epi Rawalai, and as Epeli has introduced me, I'm the Communications Officer for the Fiji Higher Education Commission. I've been caught off guard to say something, but if there's any advice to give, going out into the job market, start off with a job. Every 3 years you change your job, and another 3 years later, another 4 years later, you change your job. That's nowadays. Unlike before, in Master Semi's era, age probably, where they, stay in one job for 20, 30 years, and then they give you your retirement package just in one job. But, start off with the others and say, okay, let me try this. If you are not happy there and you say that there's some opportunity somewhere else, go for it. Okay, that's how it works in the marketplace in the job market. Thank you.
And maybe just one more point is, linking to what AP said, there's always jobs out there. So seize the opportunity in the lifetime of that opportunity. But also, more importantly, if you are more about entrepreneurship, take that leap forward and start a business, because in starting a business, you're also not only creating employment for yourself, but potentially others, and you're contributing to the growth of Fiji's economy as well. So take that leap, and thank you for having us this afternoon.
All right, thank you very much, Epeli. Yeah, just for the benefit of that particular information, and to benefit you as well, students, we run an entrepreneurial fair in February of every year. So that's and a very much anticipated event that's going to happen in February of next year. So we ran a big entrepreneurial fair in February this year, in which we introduced a lot of business development ideas, and then we actually invited entrepreneurs from overseas as well to speak about their experiences and how to access funding and so forth. So that's another event that the Careers Office actually organize annually, every year. Okay, this is the time I'd just like to invite our key speakers from the Fiji Higher Education Commission just to post up a question based on the presentation that they've done this afternoon for students to answer on the app. If you don't have any access to the app, I think we currently have a USP Career Internship app that students can actually put in information and see the PowerPoint presentation from all the stakeholders that have actually presented throughout the week. Maybe if you could, you could also access the app. I think I'll just put up the. Vanessa, can we just have that phone? We are giving out a J2 phone, courtesy of the Career Center and Services, for the students who actually sit in during the presentation throughout the week. So we're fortunate to have the Fiji Higher Education Commission here to do the little questioning and post it up on the app so they could actually see the result as well, and then tell us who has won the phone. So your phones are ready, students? Okay. I think we just put, yeah. Okay, you can just post up the question there. Just post up the question there so they can. So this question is a bit relevant to the presentation that has just been made on application letter, on CV, or things that you've talked about today during your presentation. I'm sure the students are all fired up right now. Just to reward you for coming here today, yeah? Okay. Yeah, we'll just give them the assistance. If they want it, they can take it, or if they don't want it, they can give it back to us. It's been posted. For those students who don't have access to the phones, it's rather unfortunate, but we're not giving out the question as we speak. You remember, we have been posting out messages to the students for the last 3 weeks. Okay, so we definitely have a winner. So I just hand over the mic to Epeli.
All right, so my question, as you would have seen on your phones, was, what is the simple definition of integrity? And I would like to congratulate Madhu Monica Chand, who posted the first comment and said it's doing the right thing when no one is looking. So congratulations, Madhu.
Round of applause, please. All right, could we just have Madhu come down, please? Slowly, yeah? Yeah, because we don't want any accidents to happen. All right, just come down slowly. And Vanessa, could you have, yeah? Can you just take a photo, please? All right. Beautiful. Round of applause, please. All right, Fiji Higher Education Commission, on behalf of the university, I'd like to thank you, and of course the students, for availing your time today to do a wonderful presentation on career development skills and knowledge that students are actually taking into right now and using it to to look for vacancies and get their application letters out and going to the employers for this year. Students, can we just give the two gentlemen a round of applause, please? All right, so since we have about 20 minutes, I'll just show you another video. Since we have about 20 minutes left to finish our program for today, remember our program is only for 2 hours, right? I'll show you one video on application letter writing. No, not an application letter, but on interview skills. Just sit back, relax, and just watch this video. The video that you're about to see is on interview skills or the interview process. First of all, you must be prepared to impress more. Prove that you will make a great employee. Also prove that you have very good presentation skills. Mark the date that is scheduled for your interview. Questions when scheduling? Before the interview, ask the HR officer, how long is the interview? How many candidates will be interviewed? With whom will I be interviewing? Is there anything I should bring with me? If you're unable to attend for a good reason, inform them as soon as possible and request an alternative date. These are some pre-interview tasks. Let them know your availability for the interview. Please do your homework. Talk to people with experience. Prepare answers. Prepare questions. Know how to get to the interview location. Coordinate your portfolio file. Look your best. Plan to be 20 minutes early to be fresh and calm. Research and know the employer before the interview. What are the mission? What are the vision? What are the values of the employer? What is the main focus of the employer? Who are its competitors? Learn about the history of the employer, of the organization. Where are its field offices? Where are they located? Learn about the industry trends. What is the structure of the organization in the chain of command? How big is the organization? What is the culture of this organization? Know the job that you've applied for. What is the job description or the key result areas? What are the duties? What are specific skills that are mentioned in the vacancy? What kind of knowledge that you should have? Job experience that you should have? What qualities that you should have that you relate well with a job vacancy? Which of your qualities and experiences align with their expectations? Remember what you wrote in your application letter and claimed in your CV and resume. Be in touch with yourself. What are your initiative, goals, and attitude? What are your passion and interests? Your attributes, your knowledge, skills, and what special qualities you have? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Your accomplishments and experiences? Why do you want to work for them? What can you offer to this organization? Why should they choose you and not the others? USP Graduate Attributes. USP Graduate Attributes are very, very important. These are attributes that students should have when they are applying for jobs. First of all, you must have academic excellence. You must have intellectual curiosity and integrity. You must have the capacity for leadership and working with others. You should appreciate the cultures of the Pacific Islands and have cross-cultural tendencies or cross-cultural competencies. What should you take in an interview? First and foremost, you must prepare a student or an interview portfolio. You must have copies of your resume. You should list your professional references. You must have your academic transcripts. A working pen, a notepad. Please bring along a comb or a brush. Have some breath mints. Have a light briefcase where you will put your portfolio in it. Remember, first impressions matter. The way you dress, it is the single biggest non-verbal communication you can make about yourself. Dress sense. Why? To convey success. The way you dress will also convey trustworthiness, intelligence, suitability for the job, your professionalism, and how you have organized yourself. Make sure your clothes are nicely pressed. You should wear light dark colors. They should be plain, they're semi-formal to formal. It should be decent and well coordinated. You must have polished shoes, and please wear light jewelry, wear light makeup, and have some perfume. Be clean and always smell fresh. And of course your image that's showing there in the video, you must have a trimmed haircut. You must be clean shaven, have a warm smile, have a feel of confidence, have that formal dress, and of course that firm handshake. You must have a correct body posture. That's your image. Before you go to the interview, please practice your greeting. How do you greet others? Remember, first impressions count. Practice your handshake and introduce yourself to the people around you. Remember your smile and eye contact. Whilst waiting for your turn, please be calm. and follow instructions. When filling out forms, don't leave any blanks. Try to be neat. Be thorough and check information. Provide positive information about yourself. Try to read company information or company literature. Focus on your interview. Switch off your mobile phone. Take deep breaths if you are nervous. Don't compare yourself with other candidates. All right? The interview structure, of course, the greetings, the handshake, the names, the chit-chat, small talk. Tell me about yourself. The core in the interview process are the interview questions. The questions, have your questions ready. And the closing of the interview, what happens next? What do employers want from you? Can you do the job? Try to evaluate your potential. What are your skills? What qualifications do you have? What kind of experiences do you have? What special qualities? What value you will offer to the organization? Will you fit into the team organization culture? What is your personality like? What kind of behavior do you have? What do you value as very important to the organization? How motivated are you? What are your energy level? Do you have initiative? What drives you? Be yourself, be honest, and be relevant. Body language is very important in the interview process. The do's: make eye contact, smile, sit with a good posture, sit like a lady or a gentleman, listen attentively, try to respond appropriately, use gestures when necessary, wait for the question to finish before answering, try to mirror a positive body posture. Don'ts: don't slouch, don't be stiff, don't make faces, and please don't roll your eyes. Don't fidget, don't tap your feet, don't crackle your knuckles. Clear your throat repeatedly. Don't bite your lips or your nails. Don't scratch a part of your body. Don't put your hands in your pockets. Don't cross your arms and legs repeatedly. And please, don't look elsewhere when questions are asked. Speaking, these are some of the do's. Be clear, concise, and precise with words. Be relevant. Be polite. Be loud enough and clear, and use intonation. Intonation is the rise and fall of speech. Think before you speak. Always ask for clarification if you haven't heard it properly or do not understand the question. Don't speak too fast or too loudly. Remember, you might mumble your words. Don't make jokes. Don't curse. Please don't use slang words. Don't babble or chat too much. Please don't interrupt the interview panel. Don't badmouth a boss. Don't flirt with the interviewer. Say certain things in your life that are better left unsaid. These are some examples of tough interview questions that you might come across. Tell all questions. Tell me about yourself. Specific question: what do you think of the organization's mission? Which you'll have to answer appropriately. Surprise question: what is your passion? Some strengths and weaknesses questions. Questions about the future. They want to test your analytical skill. They want to see how you're able to see beyond the organizational goals. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, for example? Scenario questions. What if there was a tsunami? What would you do? Or behavioral questions. Tell me about a time when you were faced with a situation. Or give an example of what would you do if you were in this particular situation. Weakness? I used to like to work on one project to its completion before starting on another, but I've learned to multitask better. I think it allows me to be a multitasker. This is the simple question. When faced with a project, I sometimes find it difficult to get started, as I generally have lots of creative ideas. The way I try to overcome this is to start with the end in mind. Once I've established what the result is to be, I can then list all the important points to get there. When I have the order ready, I can then tap at the beginning and my creative flair can be added along the way. Or another simple answer, in the past, I have found planning and prioritizing a challenge. I now use Outlook on both my computer and work mobile phone to synchronize appointments and block out time for travel and the unexpected. I find this much easier than using a handwritten diary, as I can now move tasks and appointments around should I have a cancellation and see at a glance what is coming up. Okay, here's an example of an experience. This is a situation. Detail the background. Provide a context, where and when. And the task, describe the challenge and expectations. What needed to be done and why. An action, elaborate your specific action. What did you do? How? What tools did you use? And then, of course, the results. Explain the results. What are some accomplishments? What recognition did you get? Savings, etc. Please quantify the results. More questions. Share a goal you set for yourself. Share a conflict resolution. What would you do to gain respect? How do you stay current? Describe going above and beyond at work. How do you accept criticism? What are some of the things that bother you? Do you prefer working with others or do you prefer working alone? Why should we hire you as the best person for the job? These are some of the questions that you might like to ask your interview panel at the end of the interview process. Does the company offer any training opportunities? What is the selection or timeline process from here? Is there a periodic review process? Remember, interviews is a two-way process. They ask you questions and you ask them back. Practice, practice during the interview. Speak your answers, not just think about them. Go in a mock interview and try to get an honest feedback. Try to evaluate, because when you evaluate, you start to gain more practice and confidence in the interview. Go to the internet and look up interview resources. Go to YouTube and watch video clips on interview skills. Remember, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. These are the qualities of a promising candidate. 1, a complete application. 2, a personal appearance. 3, answering questions completely. 4, good communication skills. 5, positive attitude and behavior. 6, having good interpersonal skills. 7, completing tasks efficiently. 8, creative and shows initiative. 9, a willing learner. And 10, having confidence. Thank you for watching this video. All right, can we just clap our hands, please? All right, students, that completes our program for today. And,
All right, so hey guys, in this video, I'm going to tell you guys how to prepare for a job interview.